It's a lovely Wednesday in Huntsville, Alabama. This is Take After Take, our stab, and boy, do I mean stab, at a podcast. Producer Pat, yours truly, Carl Prather. You know, I see like every week that we've done this, especially since we've been on streaming, you have this is a look. It's like you
Me?
yeah.
What about you?
You get some facials or something done? What we doing?
Facial? No, I can't grow facial hair.
No, I'm just saying like facials. Like you've been there's a lot of moisturization. You look
No, I'm just
you look put together.
built different.
I feel you.
Built like this.
I feel you.
I don't even know if we're live, by the way. Somebody back here might tell us, this is my first time flying solo with all this equipment. We might be talking to nobody. I don't know.
It don't matter. We'll just do this.
Somebody
and
will come running back here.
This will be part of the Lost Files once we have like 6,000 of these under our belts.
Hopefully they can hear us.
I know. So look, Pat. I mean, we've kind of got into this the last couple of weeks and kind of getting our momentum there as far as the streaming aspect of it all. But we do appreciate everyone that has been tuning in via our podcast, where you can find your podcasts across so many different platforms. Truly appreciative of that. We will start with kind of the main thing in sports, especially here in this state, and that's college basketball. Before we even get to Alabama and Auburn, this has been an absolutely unbelievable basketball season from the college ranks when it's dealing with anyone within the Yellowhammer State. Of course, the aforementioned Alabama and Auburn are fantastic. The Alabama-Huntsville men, for those that are new or not familiar with our area, are a Division II program here in North Alabama. They are ranked third in the entire country. They got one loss this year, and the only loss they got is from the first loss of the season, and they lost by 1 point, 105-104, to the team that's ranked number 2 currently in the standings, who finished a runner-up in the Division II National Championship game in Nova Southeastern. They won their 28th in a row last night in the Gulf South Conference opening round tournament. They're the number 1 overall seed. They're going to head down to the semifinals that'll be held on a neutral site down in Birmingham. But an amazing season for them, an amazing season for the Alabama-Huntsville women. They're also headed to the semifinals as well. The North Alabama men had an absolutely heater of an atmosphere on Monday night in the Atlantic Sun Conference. They're headed to the semifinals. They're 2 games away from clinching their first ever NCAA tournament berth.
How crazy would that be, by the way? My alma mater, UNA.
Nuts. Alabama A&M women, Dawn Thornton and company, her first year. They're second in the SWAC conference, Southwestern Athletic Conference. They're about to prepare for their conference tournament next week in Atlanta. There could be a chance, Pat, we could have representation from North Alabama, Alabama A&M, UAH in the Elite Eight, which is the big moniker for Division II basketball, all in the month of March before we even kind of get into the NCAA tournament for the men and women. So, man, it's been a fun ride.
You're going to be a busy man coming up here in the next couple months.
Normally, I dread things like this. This year, because of all of the amazing basketball, I'm looking forward to it, and I just, fingers crossed, hope that everyone can punch their tickets. But, man, it's been awesome. Just wanted to kind of give all of those respective programs a shout-out because they deserve it. Their fan bases have been great. But, obviously, kind of the main course for us, Alabama and Auburn, the men's basketball teams just continue to remain within the top 10 all season. All but likely going to be 1 and 2 seeds somewhere in that range when we head into March Madness. Last night, Auburn loses just their second game in the Southeastern Conference last night to Texas A&M, who's a very, very good basketball team. I guess we can start with, if you had an opportunity to watch any of that game last night, I was tied up with the Alabama-Huntsville, watched the majority of it earlier this morning and early afternoon. Listen, sorry, y'all. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why we've only had, the last undefeated team to not only finish undefeated and win a national championship was like in the late 70s with Bob Knight and company, Sean May and all that was well before my time. Not that far, but well before my time. But it happens. You're in that type of gauntlet death match of a conference in the Southeastern Conference. You're bound to lose something. They lost last night. They looked tired. They looked dead. Denver Jones did not play last night. Your thoughts if you had any opportunity to watch any of it last night?
I didn't watch it live. I saw the clips.
Yeah.
And like you said, it happens. Sometimes you just get caught.
Who cares? I mean, and when I mean who cares, Pat, Bruce Pearl cares, his amazing staff, players care. What we're saying is this would be something if this was week 2 of the Southeastern Conference slate. We are at the end. They play Alabama on Saturday. They can lose Saturday. They could lose the first game of the SEC tournament on Friday. They're going to be the number 1 overall seed. it's over with. They are elite. They're great. It does not matter. It's all about trying to get yourself prepared and prepare for March. So, they're good. Do they have some minute flaws relative to the rest of college basketball? Sure. Who doesn't? Do they have a lot more, as I mentioned last week, tools in the toolbox to make a run and win 6 games in the NCAA tournament? Absolutely. So it is what it is. Credit to Texas A&M and Buzz Williams, who's done a crazy job with Texas A&M, and that was an electric atmosphere. They're an older, as we like to say, grown team. So they'll be fine. Let's get Auburn some rest as best possible as they get ready for their finale, honoring a number of seniors on Saturday against Alabama. But there's nothing that has changed whatsoever with me, with Auburn and Duke, to me, that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Duke's won their last 4 games by at least 30 points.
Will you feel differently if they lose to Alabama, they lose in maybe shocking fashion their first game of the SEC tournament?
No.
They won't make you feel different going into
Absolutely
the March Madness?
not. Absolutely not.
You wouldn't even have like a hint of like, did they peak too early?
No, because of the sustainability they've had literally up until. So, for example, what happens if they won last night and then they lose to Alabama and then they lose the opening round of their double bye, whatever the quarterfinal would be on Friday in Nashville, 2 Fridays from now. I've seen enough that makes me believe that they are more than worthy of winning a national championship. Now, there's a handful of other teams, Duke, the Alabamas of the world, the Floridas of the world, Tennessee's, Love St. John's, Iowa State. I believe there's a handful of teams that could win it. But no, I'm not remotely concerned about, it's just how you finish the year. Last time I checked, they had 2 losses heading into. They have 0 bad losses. They're 3 losses to 3 of the top 22 teams in the United States of America. I'm good. Now, I will say this. Here's a caveat. I would like Denver Jones, North Alabama native from here in our area. Would love for him to be healthy. He's dealing with a foot injury there. Hopefully he can get back on Saturday, but all but likely, worst case scenario, he's going to be back in the SEC tournament in some sort of fashion. A couple of things that, and Jimmy Dykes did a great job last night mentioning this, that I've just kind of noticed with Auburn throughout the year. If you can crash your boards, that gives them some issues, offensive rebounding. They don't do the best job of dribble driving to the bucket to be able to open up opportunities for 3 balls, shots from the perimeter with the dribble drive. Love to do a lot of slipping screens with Janai. It's been incredible. Texas A&M did an amazing job with that last night. I know that coaches will look at that, especially as you kind of get into the second weekend of the tournament if they make it that far. But listen. All of these teams will be playing each other 3 times if you're the elite of the elite, the top 4 seeds. Yes. Do they have flaws? Sure. Does Alabama have flaws? Sure. Does Duke have? Yes. But the least flaws, to me, have been Auburn and Duke. And they've been, to me, the best 2 teams really the last 60 days, 90 days or so, which is the last 3 months of the year. So, no, I wouldn't be concerned. You tell me they lose by 30 Saturday against Alabama, they turn around and lose about 25 or something in an opening round of the quarterfinal round, their first game of the SEC tournament, we can revisit this. But I'm okay. Bruce Pearl and them have done a magnificent job. He should be the coach of the year in the SEC and arguably the country. So,
how you feel about Alabama coming off the buzzer beater loss to Tennessee?
Yeah, so Tennessee's another team that I've thought since the beginning of the year that is more than deserving of potentially making a Final Four run. We mentioned it last week in our podcast about Rick Barnes, this notion that he's a second-rate coach from those back in his Texas days is asinine at best. Listen, things once again that Tennessee can do very, very well. They can lock you down. You got to think about it now. Alabama scoring 80, 85 at least the last 4 or 5 games coming into that contest, held to 75. They make it very, very difficult for you to kind of get into your offense, more importantly, manufacture offense, especially with what Alabama loves to do and be able to slow that tempo and that pace down. I think that was a huge win for Tennessee. I think the more they can get somehow, some way from their perimeter shots would be ideal for Rick Barnes and company. I think if they can shoot it particularly well, and I keep going back to this, and when I say manufacture offense, things that you don't traditionally do well in your half court sets and or fast break or transition. And what I mean by that is, okay, I'm running my set or my action in the half court, and I know I can get a bucket out of this more times than not. What happens if that cannot work? Do you have players on the floor that can manufacture it themselves? No play is called, said play breaks down. I'm able to go get my own or be able to work off my teammates and just play basketball. That's what I mean when I mean manufacturing twos and manufacturing wide open perimeter shots from beyond the arc. So I believe Tennessee can do that. I just think the biggest concern for them is I just don't know if they could be able to win a tournament game if the going gets tough and you're shooting 32% from the field. 38% from the field. Can you find a way to manufacture the offense outside of Ja'Kai Ziegler? We know what Chaz Lanier can bring to the table as far as the three ball. The game winner was great from someone not named Chaz Lanier and Ja'Kai Ziegler. So they're one of those teams that have a lot of tools in the toolbox. You just want to know, like, do they have enough? Are they equipped with enough tools in the toolbox to be able to get it done? But no, I'm okay with Alabama. Obviously, turning the basketball over. Credit to Nate Oates who mentioned in the post game, Patrick. Hey, the 5-second call before the buzzer beater can't happen. He puts the blame on himself. That's what a great coach does.
And the officiating was, I think, a little suspect.
Tell me
at the
why.
End of the game.
Tell me why.
It just seemed like you had so many foul calls, and like the referees became such a point of that game with the last 2 minutes to go.
And this is what I was discussing in our last episode last week. My biggest fear for this great Southeastern Conference, historically great conference slate and season for this group of teams in the 16-team league. What happens when all of these teams are dispersed across America in these said regions, and these referees are not within the Southeastern Conference, and you're having a ref from somewhere else, insert conference here? Does the whistle get tight? Are you allowed to play? And that's why it's very important for me, someone like Auburn and Florida and Tennessee, to have a lot more tools at your disposal on the floor in case you get in foul trouble, in case that you're not being able to kind of get up in your opponent's gut there, sitting down in the chairs, as coaches love to say defensively. Can you find other ways to win if you're in foul trouble early? So that's the one thing that I won't say highly, but if there's anything close to highly, it's that. Because I just don't know what this whistle is going to look like as we get into the round of 32. And then, of course, as we get into the regional sites in 3 weeks with these said teams that potentially could make it a run into the Sweet 16 and Elite 8.
Would you consider SEC basketball to be a failure if they don't get at least one team in the Final Four?
Absolutely not. I had this discussion with my uncle. It's kind of like my college basketball sounding board. He's a diehard Louisville basketball fan. I'm from the Kentucky, Louisville area. We had this discussion last week, and you can go. It's in the annals of time. If college basketball fans could just go back the last 15, 20 years, I'm pretty sure. I have not charted this, but the last time a team had as many potential bids as the Southeastern Conference potentially will have here on Selection Sunday in 2 weeks is the Big East, the then Big East, with 11. That's the record. That year, Louisville won the national championship. That year, they were the only team from the Big East in the Final Four. That year, they were the only team in the Elite 8 and the Sweet 16. I believe they had only 2 in the round of 16, if my memory serves me correctly. I say all that to say it does not negate what you've done during your season. And I think you can separate the two. All you're doing is, when you're dealing with the NCAA basketball tournament, which makes it so unique, is the mere fact that you're dealing with teams that have built enough of a resume to make you believe that they have a viable shot of winning 6 games over the course of 3 weeks. So, no, it wouldn't negate what the SEC has done. I think they only have 23 losses, man, out of all of their 16 teams in the non-conference. That's unheard. It's historic. I've never seen anything like it. And I remember, I'm telling you, there were players within this league, there were coaches and assistant coaches within this league that told me in the summer, dude, this is about to be the greatest year of college basketball in the Southeastern Conference. And the more as we got closer into later summer and they were completely right. So no, I don't take anything away from if they have 0 teams, 1 team, all 4, or anything in between for them to make. If they don't reach the ultimate destination, that's a national championship or Final Four or some representation within the Elite Eight. What you've done in the season should stand for something. That's why it makes the NCAA tournament that great. It's a one-off. We love the National Basketball Association. More times than not, the best team is always going to win, no matter what. It's the best of 7. That's why this is what makes this so exciting for the casual fan, the diehard fan like ourselves, everyone watching right now and listening to our podcast week in and week out with the NCAA tournament. That's why we get so excited. It's because all it takes is one night. All it takes is 3/4 of a game for you to lose a basketball game. That's why you look at your teams and you have to self-evaluate them. If you love college basketball, watch as many teams as you possibly can, not only within your favorite league, with your favorite team, but across the country. And look at teams that are equipped to deal with a myriad of things that they potentially could come in contact with against a team, where they're playing, said opponents, said coaches, the styles of play, all of those things. And then you just basically ultimately say to yourself, okay, these are the teams that I believe have the best chance of going and winning 6 games over the course of 3 weeks.
And I mean, you look at a team like Georgia, or you look at a team like Texas A&M. If they were in another conference, who's to say they wouldn't be a top 5 team because they'd be dominating that conference?
Yeah, and the really cool thing about this league is just because, for the most part, in the midst of us discussing a lot of the Southeastern Conference teams that have, we're nitpicking with flaws and whatnot, you can put a lot of these teams with the state of college basketball right now, and you can roll those teams out in another league, and you can just say to yourself, okay, man, I look at Texas A&M last night. You've watched them all year. I love what they bring to the table. They're rough and rugged. They can defend. They crash the boards. Yes, can they shoot it from deep with a little bit more consistent or higher percentage clip? No, but they do all of the other things that can pose a team trouble. Like they're a team like Tennessee. Like a Houston, as we mentioned, that they are okay winning the game in the high 50s. The first to 65 can get it done. So, no, I agree. I think that if you were to disperse these 16 teams across a lot of other conferences, they for sure would get bids in those other leagues. There's no knock against the other leagues, by the way. College basketball is college basketball. I don't care if you're playing it. For those that know, if you know, you know. High major, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, it does not matter. If you can play, you can play. And there's players all over this place. And there is amazing coaching at all levels of collegiate basketball, men and women, that can put you in a bind. Here's when it gets tight, Patrick. You watch enough NCAA tournament basketball, and for those watching it at home and listening to our podcast each and every week, we've all been there. I may have a rooting interest from a team in Durham, North Carolina. We've been there where you're down 10 with 7 to go. It gets tight. It gets real tight. So you just want to look at, what happens when the first half you're down 15? What happens when you're down 15-2, 15-4 to start the game? Are you able to withstand that? Are you able to be able to find ways to sustain the onslaught of a team going on a run in the ebbs and flows of a 2 halves of basketball or 4 quarters of basketball for the women? That's what makes it special. All you're doing is trying to like evaluate and find the teams that you believe that could go and win 6 games in 3 weeks.
And with that, we get to our first break.
That quick?
That quick.
We got some
I
bills
mean,
to
it was
pay
20
there.
minutes.
It was 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Man, time flies when you...
What are we doing coming out of the break? NFL draft?
Let's talk NFL draft because I need to talk you off a ledge because I feel like you're even
God.
more stressed now than you were a week ago as a Tennessee Titans fan. Take After Take returns after the break. Take after take back on the ones and twos. Producer Pat alongside Carl Prather. So we discussed college basketball. Super excited for March Madness as we head into respective conference tournaments. We shift gears because I want to talk this man off of a ledge. If you didn't know any better, I may reach out to the Tennessee Titans media conglomerate in the front office, because if you didn't know any better, he's our de facto Tennessee Titans general manager, player personnel, developer, scout of talent,
number one fan,
super fan, not number one, number one super fan. Like, it's nuts. You see his hat? He got a Tennessee Titans hat on.
I have a Tennessee Titans wallet too, by the way.
Yikes, man!
No money in it.
I got a question. I'm not knocking in my tried and true Tennessee Titans fans, because I got much love for y'all. You got one of those things when you go to the games with the flames coming out the back of it and stuff that some of those
No,
adult
I'm not
men
that,
wear?
but I do respect those guys. That's a lot of good football they've seen, but more bad football that they've seen since they've been doing that.
You putting the stickers and stuff and the paint on your
I
cheeks and
would
stuff?
if someone was like, "Do you want to go to a game and do that?"
They start 10-0, you definitely doing that.
Oh, if they start 2-0, I might, depending on who the first pick is, have a jersey on the next podcast we come in here.
Would you shed maybe half of a tear if it's someone that they pick that you like, you love, but more importantly, you believe that this is putting the Titans in the right direction?
Yeah, if it's Travis Hunter, I'm going to cry. I will cry.
Sir.
Listen, we're bad at receiver. We're bad at corner. We talked about
Bro,
this
you
last
bad at
week.
everything. Every time
We're
it's
bad at
today.
everything. So just get him. But the rumor now is that maybe the New York Giants want to trade up to number 1 to get Cam Ward. And that's kind of a perfect scenario for us.
Because?
If they move up and get Cam Ward,
Uh-huh.
you're going to have to give next year's first-round draft pick to us. You're probably going to have to give us a second-round draft pick this year to move up there. They take Cam Ward, and then you are guaranteed to get either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, one of the two. I do not think they are drafting a quarterback this year.
No, I don't think so either.
That's my gut.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it will be Sam Darnold.
Ooh, I like it. I'll take it. Hey, look. I have been critical of Sam Darnold in years past. Cannot knock what he was able to accomplish with the Vikings a year ago. Still, if I have to pick, 10 other quarterbacks, obviously it's going to be 10 others not named Sam Darnold. But listen, it is what it is. We're critiquing his play. This is nothing personal. This is all about what you've done. He was fantastic a year ago. And man, what better way to like just create some sort of stability with the Tennessee Titans with him at quarterback, pay him a little money, and be a bridge into whatever you want to get in the future.
Well, there has never been a quarterback that has lost as much money as Sam Darnold did those last 2 games of the season.
What you mean, man? And like, here's the thing. Imagine what happens if he balls out. There's no way that the Vikings don't extend him, right?
Oh, no. There's no way. You might have a scenario where they think about trading J.J. McCarthy if they make it to like NFC Championship game with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Because he still is only 28.
Right. Which is wild to think, because it seems like Sam Darnold has literally been in the league for 13 years.
It's been a minute. It's
been a minute.
A long time.
It's been a minute. No, I would love that. I would love that for the Titans if they were to strike a deal with Sam Darnold free agency. How many years would you like it to be?
I don't think it needs to be anything crazy,
3?
and I don't think it will be. I think it will be 2 to 3 years, somewhere in like the $30 to $33 million range.
Yeah, because you all have plenty of cap space. You got the cash.
I mean, and he's either going to make us competitive or we're going to be in the same spot next year. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then the new stadium downtown opens in 26 or 27?
26, I believe.
26, okay. But we know it's coming in the next 2 or 3 years. So, yeah man, like, you have an opportunity to, like, you're basically restarting this franchise, proud franchise, over. There's nothing wrong with it. I've been critical of the Titans the last season, but no, man, I got immense amount of respect for some of those people in that office that I know from the media standpoint. I love those guys. They kind of raised the young pup back in the day when I was started out in this business. So, man, no, it's good for the league for the Titans to be good, especially here in the southeastern part of the country, man. Yes, I want the Titans to be elite. I just want them to be able to pick the right thing. So, with all of that said, when I was in college, it was obsessive almost how much I love the NFL draft in the combine and the pro days. I will be brutally honest. I did not watch the combine. This is probably the first time in a long time that I didn't intently watch it like I normally have. But you said that you watch like basically every minute of it.
I have to. We have a lot of picks.
Look at this.
I need a lot of good
I'm
players.
gonna write a letter to What's the name of your new GM?
So I messed up last week. I said Chad Borgonzi. It's actually not. I combined. So we have Chad Brinker, the president of football operations.
Yeah.
Potentially the de facto GM. He does have last say.
Yeah.
Mike Borgonzi is the actual general manager. We combined them.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, it could be a thing, especially in the next 2 years.
Well, there's a little Freudian slip, who actually is running the show here.
Okay, all right, sir. Okay, then you had to go there. Your thoughts on the combine just as a whole? I know you probably were intently looking at guys that you potentially believe that the Titans would be able to draft. Walk us through just what your initial reaction to what you saw in Indianapolis.
I like the combine.
I've
always liked it.
Love it.
It's nice background television while you're doing other things, and you get to see guys who have played, for example, Alabama A&M.
Yep.
The kid here.
Yep.
Who had Charles Vincent, I believe.
Carson Vincent.
Carson Vincent.
Yep. Left tackle.
Had an amazing combine.
He was incredible.
Looked fluid. Potentially made himself a lot of money.
He has. He will be drafted. He will have a guaranteed contract in the first 4 rounds in the National Football League.
And like watching him, if you told me like, oh, he's going to play 10 years in the league, I'd be like, yeah,
correct.
He looks like it.
Yep.
So that's what the combine's cool for. It's all these guys. And there's inevitably going to be a dude in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round who's going to pop, who's going to be a multiple-time Pro Bowler, potentially even a Hall of Famer. So that's what I like about it. Now, I wish the Stars would actually
do you really
compete.
I don't.
I want to see Cam and Shador throw. I want to see
absolutely not.
I want to see Genty run.
No, sir.
That's what I want to see.
No chance. Here's why. Why in the heck would I was about to say, what I was about to say.
We can't edit this, by the way. Whatever you say, that's it.
Why what? If I'm Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, I'm Abdul Carter, Travis, for what? If you are a first round, can we do it? Which one is ISO? I'm on ISO right now.
Yeah, you're
this right forward.
Yeah, right there.
This is nothing. I'm not saying that you already know agents across America, NFL prospects there in the first round. Listen. If you are almost destined and guaranteed not only to be a top 5 pick, top 10 pick, or in the first round, do not work out at the NFL Combine. This notion that these GMs and these we want to see what type of competitor you are. Competitor? Don't. What's all that tape for from them first 3 years of college? What are we doing? Like, for what reason? The combine, what makes the combine so beautiful and so special is because the Carson Vincents of the world, the players that are trying to improve their drafts, like they may be a 6th round pick. They're going to be drafted as maybe a free agent or an undrafted free agent. Go there, get invited, and show up and show out. Interview with these guys. So then, what else they do? They leave from there and they go to their respective pro days, and then you show out some more, and then you make yourself some more money. There is nothing to Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty, Will Campbell, the list goes on and on. If you're certain to go in the first round or the top 2 rounds, for what? Show up, do your interviews. That's the reason. That was my biggest issue with the Senior Bowl. Immense amount of respect for the Senior Bowl and what they do each and every year down in Mobile. Why wouldn't you want your top prize? I get it's the Senior Bowl. Let those seniors, if they want to compete and do that to continue to improve their draft stock, by all means, go do it. But what's wrong with having some of the elite players come down and be able to mingle and talk with some of your player personnel, your GMs, your front offices with the 32 respective franchises? It can only make you it's another opportunity for you to be able to kind of get to know your board as a whole when you're about to draft for 3 days. I don't get it. That's just my 2 cents. My money has already been made. If I'm Carl Prather, and I know I'm Carl Prather, and it's Shedeur Sanders, and it's me, and we guaranteed to be in the first, especially in the top 10 picks, for what?
You don't want to do it just for the love of the game?
For the love of the game.
For the love of the game, yeah.
Y'all didn't watch it? Y'all, what happened? What about the love of the game? Them 12 weeks that I did this past football season.
I mean, I agree.
And the year before that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's what I'm here for.
I definitely need going home somewhere because I ain't no way. I wish I might. Somebody tell me go out here. We need to see you be a competitor. Competitor?
What? That's a Vince McMahon voice. What kind of
voice? That did sound
is that?
like that. You need to be a competitor.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that now.
You ain't lying. Yeah, you can't.
Might be bad. You want to know some guys that made a lot of money from
Talk
the
to me.
combine?
I want to hear your list.
I think if you are someone who is a betting person, if you were up in Tennessee,
For
where it's
entertainment
legal to
purposes
do
only?
for entertainment purposes only. Jahad Campbell, Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's probably a safe bet.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Sir.
He was outstanding in the combine.
You know the funny thing about Jihad? It only happens very rarely for me because I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be around it enough. Because you see players and you see like you're like, oh man, that's Jihad. When you get up close to him, to me, he's even bigger than what they list him as. He is tall and long and rangy and lanky and like and proportionate for as far as what his body looks like. It's funny you mentioned that. I was listening to Sirius Radio, the NFL Network, a couple of the week of the combine, and I happened to hear his interview. Oh my gosh, Mason Graham and Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. I heard just in the car traveling, going back and forth from places, running errands and stuff. But yeah, Jihad's going to make a lot of money. I call him. He's going to be one of those guys that's a 2-3 contract guy. Like get a couple deals, stay in the league, make a lot of money. But that's cool to know because I did not know. So Jahad Campbell had a week.
He flashed all of his drills. He looked fluid.
Let's go, Jahad.
And then you just turn on the tape, right? The whole thing of the combine is you want your testing numbers to confirm what your eyes have seen when you're watching the tape.
Correct.
When you watch the tape at Alabama, 120 tackles this season. He was all over the field.
He was. And asked to do a lot, Patrick, that he normally wasn't asked to do relative to set scheme in his first year post Nick Saban and in the middle of that defense with DeAndre Lawson.
He is going to step in the middle of some defense, and they are instantly going to be better.
Wow, that's impressive.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think so. Because I think he's just going to have a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go late first round, which means he's going to be on a pretty good team.
Really good team.
That's going to be playing on like Sunday Night Football. He's going to be out there. They're going to be talking about him. He interviews well. He's
incredible interview.
Great speaker.
Yes.
Like I think he's just going to be out there to where people, when they go to cast their ballot, are going to be like, this is the guy.
That's impressive. Here's the one guy that I'm excited to watch at the next level. I think Will Johnson, man, at Michigan, the corner is awesome. And what I mean when I say awesome, I mean obviously, when you're basically quote unquote maybe the top cornerback prospect in the draft, what makes him great is that big play mentality. Always just flash. He's just such a good player. I never saw him in the last couple of years, and I just really noticed him his sophomore year. I'm sorry. He's always in the right spot. He never's he doesn't miss too many assignments when you kind of watch him. And then last year, I just remember watching him in the SC game earlier last season, and he was awesome. And he was awesome. I think he had a pick, I believe, in a game that they were in. It was in question. It was I believe it was a non-conference game. It was one of those. But anyhow, the time that he did play before he got injured and was out was excellent. I love Will Johnson. I think he's great. I think Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame is another good one. He's coming back from injury as well. But no, I think he's great. I want to ask you about a wide receiver that I think he was at the combine. I do not know this. You may have had an opportunity to see him. Anyone in our comments and things may say this as well. Did Matthew Golden from Texas, the wide receiver, was he at the combine?
Not only was he at the combine, he ran a 4.29.
I did see that at the top of the
He
thing.
looked effortlessly fast in these drills. Yeah. I have two bold statements coming out of this combine that I think will happen. Matthew Golden will be the first receiver taken in this draft.
I'm not opposed to that. And you know how I feel about McMillan from Arizona.
And you know how I feel. I think he's a bust.
You think he's a bust?
Written all over him. Yes.
Yeah. But,
I think Matthew Golden's going first. And we've talked about this guy. You don't like him.
Who?
This blonde-haired Jackson Dart. He's going in the first round. I promise you he's going in the first round. First.
I don't dislike Jackson Dart. I truly appreciate what Jackson can flat out play. I love his swag. I love it. Man, I saw a darn meme earlier today in this social media world. Like, somebody did a highlight video of it. Like, it was crazy. You if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But like, it had nothing to do with sports at the beginning, and then it went into his highlights at Ole Miss. I like Jackson. I think Jackson was was really, really, really good for Lane at Ole Miss. I think he played well. Obviously transferred from SC. Yes, he has flown up the draft boards. You believe he's going to be a first rounder? Okay.
A late first rounder.
I don't want any of these guys to bust. Like, I get it. Like, you're in the draft, so like I want you to I want everybody. If everybody can play well and have a 15-year career, yeah. Man, I just don't see that. Now, here's the other question. How long are you asking him to sit? You're a first round pick late or early second. I'm assuming he's sitting for a year, correct?
I would think so, yes.
You would like for him to sit for a year.
But I think if we had this podcast last year,
yeah,
I don't know if we would have looked at a guy like Bo Nix and said he's also going to be a stud quarterback. Like, I think
did I do that or not?
You might as well just be calling yourself Notre Dame.
I'm
Somehow
not.
you know all the things.
No. We discussed this in our group chat. We got a big group chat with a bunch of fellas. I immediately knew 100%. Really quick about Bo. Lost in this notion that he's going to be a bust.
There it is again. There's the McMahon.
He's a recipient of his offense in Oregon because he has Tess Johnson and he just throws 5-yard passes and they run after the catch. No, dude, he plays on time, man. He plays on time. He plays on restriction of a football game. His legs are secondary relative to what he wants to do. Case in point, that's why you saw he literally. What was different from what you saw with Bo Nix as a rookie for the Denver Broncos that you didn't see 2 years at Oregon? Literally carbon copy of what you're asking him to do. It's the very reason why I think Shadur Sanders is going to be outstanding. You got enough tape. We know what this is. We know what this looks like. Now imagine you don't get sacked 52 times your first year and whatever god awful stat it was a year ago. That man got 2 seconds to throw. That's why guys like him. When I'm dealing with Jackson, I just say to myself, okay, highly productive at Ole Miss. Were you a product of said schematics, or is it you? And I just want to see what this translates to, because he's going to get, I would assume, he's probably going to be picked in the first,
40 picks.
Man, you said 40. Okay.
Yeah. I without question.
You're like, out of all the quarterbacks not named Cam Ward and Shadur, he's the one that you're like, oh, man.
He's it, and not only that, there are a lot of people that I've listened to, Todd McShay being one of them.
They're going crazy right now.
That love this guy.
They're going crazy. They're going crazy, dog. Like they are. They're going crazy. I'm not saying they're identical. But there was another Ole Miss quarterback that came out that had a more live arm, probably a little bit more accurate, probably a little bit more athletic. How many of y'all thought that Matt Corral was going I'm not saying Pro Bowl or All Pro, but how many of y'all thought that he was going to be still asleep in the... All I'm saying, completely different players, not compare and contrast each one. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I will be shocked if Jackson Dart goes and has a long productive career. Heck, if you just like, even if you're a backup, in the league, dude, like it's fine. Like I get it. But just the way that everyone, this groundswell of, man, how well he's played from the Senior Bowl, and he's helped himself immensely, no doubt.
This postseason with the Senior Bowl, the Combine, he's helped himself quite a bit. Another takeaway, this might be a legendary running back class. If you need a running back, this is it.
Now we can get on board with this.
Okay, everyone, of course we know Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
But now you have Omarion Hampton,
Savage,
North Carolina.
Savage.
Quishon Junkins, Travion Henderson, Ohio State. Trevor Etienne from Georgia looked good at the Combine.
He did look good.
Donovan Edwards, who had a down year this year, but you go back 2 years ago.
Love Donovan Edwards. Now, I know he had a down year. When I look at guys that were like, that I can identify in the pro game, he's one of them.
He's one.
Hampton from North Carolina. Anybody get a chance, go back and watch North Carolina against Minnesota. I told you about this. Go watch that game. There was about a stretch in that game where he clearly was the best player on the field, but tried to almost take it over and single-handedly help North Carolina win the game. Love Amari Hampton. And you know how I feel about Neal from Kansas. I think he come out, or is he back at Kansas? I believe he's back at Kansas.
I believe he went back.
Okay, so you mentioned we already know what Ashton's going to be. Ashton's a freak show. He's going to be. I have the same amount of love that you have for him relative to Jackson. This cat's going to change life for somebody immediately. Could be rookie of the year offensively. He's going to be crazy and have a long career. I think he's going to be great. Hampton, Genty, Edwards. Love Edwards. Who else was in there? Anybody else?
Quinshawn, Travion Henderson.
I like Quinshawn and Travion. They. I mean, I like them, but like those three to me.
Caleb Johnson from Iowa had a really good showing.
He did.
He was productive this season.
And like, here's the other part. You hear some of these names because we love college football so much and like literally watch everything. You forget that like I didn't even know Caleb got even invited.
Yeah, and probably made himself some money.
I'm not mad at it.
I also have another little takeaway.
Talk to me.
On average, if you look at each draft class in the NFL, there are about 5 Hall of Famers that come out of each draft class.
Dang, I never thought about that.
There's about 5.
That's interesting.
Little fun fact: do you happen to know what draft class has the most Hall of Famers of all time?
Can I go with 82 or 83 draft?
So that is probably the most famous one. Has 8. Marino,
do have 8.
Elway, they have 8.
So there's someone that has more than 8.
Yes.
Is it in the 2000s?
No. You got to go back.
So it's between 83 and 2000.
No. Before 83.
Okay. So I'm going to go with 1 or 2 years.
If you get this, I'm going to be blown away, by the way.
Can I have 3 separate year cracks at it?
You can have 3 cracks. I'll give you 3.
How about this? One of them I'm just going to give the decade.
Okay.
70s.
No.
So then I'm going to go with 19. I wanted to pick one of these two. They're both even numbers. 64.
You looked at this up.
I swear to God I didn't.
You promised?
1964's
answer. It had 10 Hall of Famers.
Hand to God. The reason why I was correlating this from this. This is the only reason why.
That's an insane pull, by the way. This is
the only reason. This is the only reason why I got this.
Is there a mirror? Could you see the screen?
No, man.
You sure?
That's why I was breaking it down because here's what I was initially going to say. I was going to say 74, but the reason walk through this with me. Hold my hand, y'all. We walking through the forest. Here's the reason why I said that, because I was thinking the 70s at first, but I was correlating the Steelers in the 70s to when Mel Blount and that group and L.C. Greenwood and Mean Joe Green. I was kind of categorized like, okay, when did they get drafted relative to when they started winning the Super Bowls? So how far did I have to go back? So when I did 74, I was like, they were already there. They were winning. I said, so it's not then. I said, so I know it has to be the 60s. And I hit 64. Do we have any of the names in 64?
So the only one that people probably know is Roger Staubach.
Roger Staubach.
Paul Cruz is another one that you might know. Okay. There's some other guys. A lot of these dudes were people that the Legends Committee has voted in recently.
After,
it's got them up to 10. So on that note, I have 5 guys from this year's draft class that I think are going to be Hall of Famers.
Boy, this is a hot take right here, bro.
I'm gonna put my name out there,
bro. The Gold Jackets already before they played a snap of football.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. I always give this caveat to anybody when we do hot takes. I don't. If you're a fan of sport, this is okay. Always say this, but this shouldn't even be said for anyone. You should always say, barring injury. We have no, knock on wood, we don't want anyone to get injured, bro. That's part of this. But injuries happen, and it could curtail someone's potential trajectory of becoming a Hall of Famer in their sport. Go ahead.
So I have 3 guys that you probably heard of, one that maybe, and then I have a dude outside of what is now the top 40 that I think is going to make it. Okay. So if you look at kind of these Hall of Fame classes,
talk to me.
Usually there's 3 or 4 dudes from the first round, and then there's somebody always normally from 2 and 3 in there. So the top one, you have to be in the top 100. Really. Outside of that, you have rare examples like Tom Brady, 6th round, like the legendary guys that we know. So the first dude I think is guaranteed going to get a gold jacket, barring any kind of injury, Travis Hunter. I just think he's going to do something that we haven't seen before. Play both sides of the ball, so that's one. Abdul Carter, another one. I think it's just going to be a freak show. He's going to wreak havoc on the edge for a long time. Okay. Ashton Genty, another dude. I think he is going to be kind of the crown jewel of a running back class that's going to usher in this position back to prominence. Like Saquon Barkley had a hand in it this year.
I like that.
These are going to be the guys that kind of take it forward.
Yeah.
Mike Green from Marshall, the dude who balled out at the Senior Bowl.
That cat went crazy at the Senior Bowl.
17 sacks last season. Yeah. He's flying up the boards. tested well at the combine. It backs up what you're seeing on the field, plays hard.
Yeah.
And then here's the outside shot.
Talk to me.
Wide receiver, because it's usually a wide receiver. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. 6'4", 215 pounds, ran a 4.47, high points the ball, had 1,200 yards receiving this year.
Higgins can go. I like
There is
Higgins.
always a kind of guy, be it Devontae Adams or Antonio Brown. There is somebody that's outside of round one and all these first-round receivers that pop off and have a Hall of Fame career. And I think Jaden Higgins is going to be it.
Wow. Okay.
If the Titans could come away with Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Jaden Higgins, I will be ecstatic on this podcast.
Love Higgins, huh?
I love Higgins.
He's a good player. I would have never even thrown out Higgins like whatsoever. Look at you.
And that's a guarantee. Those guys are going to be Hall of Famers, by the way.
Guaranteed. Go
Yeah.
Jackets, Canton, Ohio.
Go
They will
Jackets.
have bust in the Hall of Fame. We got to take a break.
We have to take one more break.
One more break. When we come back, look, y'all can be mad at us all y'all want. I don't care nothing about this. We talking wrestling, professional wrestling.
Wrestling.
Can't get any better than wrestling. We'll dive into just some pop culture type a big moment that occurred over the weekend, last weekend, when Take After Take returns. Final segment of our Take After Take podcast episode this week. Producer Pat, Carl Prather, thank you all for watching, joining us. Continue to like, subscribe for our podcast, wherever you find podcasts available. And, of course, we're streaming on YouTube, on our WAFF Facebook page.
Maybe.
As well.
No one stopped us.
Hey, it's okay. It's all
so I
good.
think I did it right. No one has come back here yet.
I got a really good idea if no one can hear us and they just see pictures. We're going to do like the old days, like Charlie Chaplin and stuff, and we're going to have like I'll make him edit it like and put it in black and white and like have the cue card and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. That's what I think. We wanted to end this segment because I know this will perk the ears up of some people across the world. Professional wrestling, wrestling entertainment, monster moment in pop culture last weekend for we can't say pay-per-view like we did when we were kids. You got to say premium live event. We saw the heroes of heroes, John Cena. There you can't see me. Jorts and all. The Airwalker 589 New Balances out there. Came in the ring and stabbed one Cody Rhodes in the back with an old kick and the old jewels, old crown jewels, with The Rock, a.k.a. the final boss, standing inside the ring with Travis Scott, who was in another world in the ring. We'll get to that in a moment. Travis, we love you, bro. We love your style.
Wherever
your
you were
music,
at that night.
because my brother, you weren't in Toronto. That's all I know. You was in the ring, but you weren't. If you know what I'm smelling. So Patrick, I want to ask you initially. We love wrestling. I grew up as a huge wrestling fan. I'm 42. Love the territories. I grew up in the territory sphere, and then of course the WWF, then WWF, and the NWA, which WCW. Long story short, wrestling has been a part of my life since I was a child. My mom's from Arkansas. She used to go to the Mid-South Coliseum to watch CWA wrestling, Mid-South wrestling with her parents. So it's just been in my life forever, and I love it. Your thoughts on what you saw at the WWE Elimination Chamber in Toronto as John Cena finally, which is, for those that may not know, a bad guy is a heel, officially turned heel.
I think people know. That's made its way into the pop.
Because I think it's just that popular.
Yeah.
I believe this. I believe that, and I was going to say under 15. I believe anyone that's 15 years and above knows at least one wrestler in the world. And I don't go with absolutes, but I believe that less than 1% of people in the United States of America and or the world, you know at least one wrestler. Either you may not know the name, you're like, oh, remember the guy, the girl that wears this? You know, that's how monstrous wrestling has become since the 80s now with the obviously social media and everything. I mean, it's incredible. Okay. Your initial reactions to it, I want to hear what you thought, and then I'm going to let you know what I thought.
I thought it was great. I mean, it's wrestling it's easy to get right.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of make a spectacle of it. And here is John Cena, much like a Hulk Hogan, the ultimate good guy, Breaking Bad, with The Rock, who's the biggest movie star in the world, against what is just your typical American babyface in Cody Rhodes. I thought it was fantastic, and I'm excited to see what they do now as they approach WrestleMania season going forward.
Would you believe me if I literally told you that I saw John Cena turn the heel like a million miles away?
I think a lot of people did. I don't think it was that. It's not as shocking as like Hulk Hogan.
I'm so glad you said that because that's what I wanted to pivot to here momentarily. All I'm saying is no, I did not. I thought from 6 million miles away, as John Cena made his announcement for those that have been following wrestling for the last year, saying this is going to be his final run, I just had an inkling that he was going to turn heel and be a bad guy for the end. Here's where I'm just like everyone else. I just didn't think WWE was going to actually go through with it. It got to the point that I still didn't know if they were going to go through with it until said cameraman in the ring pans to The Rock, pans to John Cena hugging Cody Rhodes, and then turns his face. But then I said, okay, now they're going to do it. What made me believe that made me get up to 99.9% like leading into that moment, the way that the match ended in the Elimination Chamber, I was like, oh yeah, this is what this is. But the one thing that really just hammered it home for me, they're really about to do this. And then in my head, I was like, no, they're still not going to do it. They're still not going to do it. Was he was so animated and so over the top when like The Rock was asking, can I take your soul or whatever? He was just too animated. I was like, we see this a mile away. And then the Travis Scott with the sage, I was like, oh yeah. So, like, of course, there's got to be one corporate in this whole thing that's about to end this. Yeah. And even then, I was like, they're not going to do that. There were some other things, like his announcement at the Royal Rumble. I was like, there was just a lot of things that made me believe that he was going to do it. I still, once again, hand to God, I just didn't think that they were actually going to go through with it until I saw the face in 09. The question I wanted to ask you, for those that remember this moment back in the late 90s, mid-90s, Hulk Hogan turns heel, Bash at the Beach, iconic Daytona Beach. Was John Cena's moment bigger than Hulk Hogan's, or was Hulk Hogan's moment still the biggest moment and arguably in the history of wrestling?
It's Hogan, and I don't think
it's not even close.
It's not close.
Not even close.
No.
And no disrespect to it, because this is incredible, right?
Yeah.
But that man, what? Even if we all knew that the Hulkster and the Hulkamania moniker was starting to become stale. That's still for those like adults, those that were in it, they're covering the sport. For us as, junior high Carl or whatever, yeah, like it was going still, but like the NWO was cool. And but I mean, that moment was so huge. It will go down in the annals of like professional wrestling entertainment. It's like one of just those moments. I think to me, Hogan slamming Andre is still just the iconic wide shot of him slamming Andre is, kind of just iconic in its own right. But the Hogan heel turn, and then you realize how dope Hogan was as a performer.
I was about to say, caveat.
Yeah. We just talking about what he did in the ring. How incredible it was. That cat had 2 separate Hall of Fame runs. Yep. And arguably as a huge Hulk Hogan, like monster Hulk Hogan fan, like Hulk Hogan was my guy. The fact that I'm not so certain that the NWO Hollywood Hogan wasn't even better.
You don't get wrestling to the point where it's at today if you don't have Hogan in the NWO. It doesn't become cool.
Correct.
It would have still been the cartoonish 80s characters where you have guys are garbage men and this dude is a supernatural warlock. Like, you would have had that kind of stuff.
Because think about what it did for kind of upping the proverbial ante for what was in the WWF and which turned into the WWE. What spawned out of that? The Attitude Era.
Right.
And they had to push the envelope because WCW was doing just that. Shout out to Kevin Hall and God Bless the Dead with Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and all. I mean, it was just amazing. You all were part of our young childhoods and made a lot of unbelievable memories. So yeah, man, no, I think Hogan, the Hogan heel turn is still far and away it just because we have to remember, as far as a good guy, or what we call in the rest, what they call in the wrestling business a babyface. Someone to have that long of a sustainability for decades on end as being a babyface that long, and then to do it, you know what I mean? That's why, like, I don't believe Patrick will ever have that again as far as that long of a run as a babyface.
No, because wrestling doesn't operate that way anymore.
No.
And it doesn't have as much of a chokehold on the culture as it did back when Hogan was doing it in the 80s, when he was as big as Sylvester Stallone
Correct.
and Schwarzenegger. Like, he was those guys.
It was like Hogan, Michael Jackson, in the mid-90s, Jordan, like, they were it. Like, they were these stars of stars. We definitely, as we kind of get, WrestleMania is going to happen in April, coming from Vegas. We're going to dive more into wrestling. We're going to try to get some wrestlers on here, man. Some people.
John Cena has to win, though, right?
I said the same thing for two reasons. Number one, he has to win, but more importantly, he's trying to break a record that the WWE has no part of whatsoever. And what I mean by that is, yes, Ric Flair, the great Ric Flair, has that record, what we've kind of held near and dear to our hearts for eons, but you weren't a homegrown guy within that organization.
Right.
He is going to win. I would be shocked if John Cena does not win at WrestleMania, for the sole fact of the WWE housing and holding that record in-house from a homegrown talent that started and will finish his career there in that organization and that unbelievable company. So absolutely, I would be shocked if he doesn't. But I also believe, like, 2 cents, he wins it. When it's all said and done, whenever he ends, I think he'll end maybe summer of 26 sometime. Whenever it is, he'll end being a babyface again, and all will be well with the world. But he's going to do this, and I respect him for it.
This is Thanos snapping his fingers at Endgame, and all the good guys just disappear into dust. That's what WrestleMania will be.
That's what it'll be. Yeah.
Cena wins 17 with The Rock, and Cody.
And they go on a little run.
Yeah. And then Cody gets the Avengers gang back together, and they take back over WWE.
And I think, basically, listen, for those that know love wrestling, I think it's really, really cool for someone like who I met Cody. He's come to our studios when he was with AEW at the time. Class personified, him and his lovely family. Just a good man. Man, I know internally he has to feel an immense amount of gratitude for what they are doing for him and what they believe of what he can become and what he will become. Imagine you have the biggest stars of the last 30 years all pushing you to take you to a stratosphere that not even Cody in your wildest dreams that you could ever imagine, even though you believe this to be true. Man, in the next 24 months, brother, you're about to be the guy in all of the sport. And it's really cool because you deserve it. You're an excellent entertainer, athlete, and world wrestling entertainment athlete and entertainer across the board. And for all those guys to give you the shot to the moon and galaxy here in the next couple of years, all for this is pure cinema, and it's super, super cool. So yeah, that's where we're going to be. Like you mentioned, like the Avengers moniker, you're going to literally see probably this when he goes and he loses, he comes back, maybe the next WrestleMania in New Orleans comes back. I think you'll have, Roman Reigns help, and you'll have all of your big stars. Stone Cold's going to come out and help. Everybody needs to come back for that big WrestleMania in New Orleans to set the stage, to put him over the top, and then everybody kind of walks off in the sunset.
And with that, another wrestling term. Let's take us home. Let's go home.
Take us home.
Wrap it
Listen,
up.
subscribe, like. Anywhere you can find podcasts, please give us a comment or two. Don't tell us we stink. You could tell us that. It's okay. At least.
And you might not even be watching right now because we might not have been.
Yeah, we
live.
may not.
We might have done this for an hour for nothing.
Correct. I mean, that's okay. We'll get the video of this and we'll make a really nice, cool, funny thing about it. But it's been fun as always. We'll be back here next Wednesday talking more college basketball, talking more NFL news and notes, the NBA. And just spring football is going to get started. Alabama started this week, so a ton to get to next week. But for producer Pat, I'm Carl Prather. This is Take After Take. Folks, we'll see you back here next week.